Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Let's take another look at Solana, see what's going on. 145 retest this local high here of roughly 146. We talked about that yesterday, and has since pulled back a little bit. But that's just because Bitcoin kind of retraced a little bit as well. So honestly, it's kind of marching the same beat as Bitcoin, only 2x to the upside, which is a good sign. Okay, that really just implies that taking a short position is not really all that viable of an option or a good recommendation. It's better. You're better off waiting for a long position to occur or to present itself, because we can see here, price did not go range bound, nor did it break this local support and bounce off that 129 level. Okay, those were the two areas I was hoping to get in. Honestly, hindsight's 2020. I'm okay I got in previously because we actually took a nice long late last week here, and ended up working out pretty well for us. Solana 30% in 4 days. So it's not the end of the world, but truth is I was hoping to get a second long position in the 129 to 136 range. Having said that, let's take a look at liquidation delta, kind of see what's going on here, because I'm willing to bet that we're still fully bullish. Big surprise, right? The market's on fire right now. The question I'm getting a lot is, do we short this resistance? In essence, you probably could have some luck, but I think that's what it's going to have to be, honestly, because we see a lot of momentum from Bitcoin. Unless Bitcoin pulls back below 90,000, we're probably here to stay at this level and go higher. It's a pretty distinct probability. And once more, you follow the volume, you follow the points of control, and kind of just look at those things to make sure you understand you're on the right track. We're going to look at that here in a minute. So as you can see, shorts at 143 to 144, absolutely destroyed. Most shorts in the last 24, 48 hours, or most likely this is like the last week's worth of trading, is all totally destroyed. Same thing with macro as well. Anyone who shorted from roughly a month ago, which is crazy to see people still holding shorts open at that level, effectively just got closed out here at about 145. There's a little bit left upwards of 150. So we see the price run a little bit further. 150 would be a logical next target. But look at this liquidation delta, 2 billion. That's probably the most I've seen in quite some time for Solana. Bitcoin's at 25 billion, to give you perspective there in comparison on just how high the liquidation is there. That's good and bad. It's good because it shows strong momentum and sustainability, but it's bad because some longs could have a really bad day. But I don't think that's likely at this point. I think we're in a position where the price is going to sustain itself for Bitcoin, and for the most part, unless there's a fundamental catalyst, we're probably likely to see the market continue higher, at least from the short-term perspective. Now, at this point, we can see 135 is that local point of control, that the heaviest area of open interest. So that does reaffirm support there. If the price does come down to 135, that's a good solid consideration for a long. Between now and then, though, let's go ahead and talk about the realism here and the fact that we've broken bullish roughly a week ago for Solana. Now, you don't take the first trade when that happens, but generally speaking, when you have that bullish backtest, that support level of 136, which we saw happen already, that's a good consideration for a long, which is roughly where we got in for a long last, I think it was Thursday or Friday. All that being said, the whole point of me mentioning that is that we're above the 20 and the 50-day SMA, and that's a very positive sign. We're still maintaining our ascending trend line. That's also very good. And we're above, our money flow index is tremendously higher than the RSI, and that's extremely important, okay? It implies we have more money flowing into this coin than out of this coin in the last 7 days. And as long as that continues to maintain above the RSI and we don't get overextended, then we're in really good shape to see a continuation happen. Okay, so I think the likelihood of further upside makes more sense. Do I want to take a long at 145? Not exactly. I'd much rather take a long in the 140 to 136 range. Okay, so as discussed, that's what I was looking for yesterday. A lot of things do need to happen between now and then, though, folks. Please understand this. We want Bitcoin to close above 90,000 a day, showing that we have sustainability above that level for a specific amount of time. Okay, that's the whole point of that. And if that happens, then there's a distinct probability that we may see this local fair value gap filled as low as 140, but we'll probably see a pivot and a bounce from there. Okay, so if Bitcoin pulls back to 90,000 and holds, this is roughly what we should see. If Bitcoin continues to retrace to 88.5, we'll probably see somewhere along these lines here, 136. If Bitcoin loses 88.5, I think we could probably presume the 120s would be the next target. So those are all just things I'm kind of looking for, paying attention to. I personally feel like 88.5 to 90,000 is the new support range for Bitcoin, and that is a likely pivot point. If that happens and then we see Bitcoin dominance start to taper off, I think alts are going to run. But Bitcoin dominance somehow keeps going higher, and altcoins are also going up with it. And that's usually a favorable sign, but it's not like the best case scenario for altcoins. We'll talk about more about that later. In fact, I do a crypto market update every single day to round out the day, just to kind of give you perspective on Bitcoin dominance, CME futures, and just kind of give you a quick perspective there. So be sure to tune into that. But the whole point of this analysis is that Solana is very bullish. You're better off waiting for a better entry on a long position that may or may not happen versus trying to short into that or longing the top. Okay, because again, this is a double top. For lack of better terms, it's not like a clean double top, but we are essentially topping out at the exact same point twice so far. And typically, there's some kind of handle to follow that will push a little bit higher. So this is probably the beginning of a cup and handle type of scenario, just based on the simple fact that we have a nice little cup and a handle would probably look a little something like this after we work ourselves into a nice little descending channel. So that's kind of what we're looking for there. Generally speaking, you see price action break out like that, okay? So those are kind of just things we're gonna be looking for. I'll update that on the playout chart so you can kind of see where my mind's at, but for the most part here, this is all positive. Shorting Solana just seems like a very bad idea. Even though it's likely to pull back, it may not pull back very hard. And if it does, it's such a small margin for error that it's not really worth taking a trade. For example, we shorted Bitcoin from 88.5 to 86,200. It only came down as low as 86,400, and now that trade's in the red. We had to close it early. Okay, there's situations like that that consistently happen, but when you're shorting into bullish uptrends, you have to play your margins tight and make sure that you are working within those ranges. And unfortunately, Bitcoin didn't pull back quite as hard, and it ramped up twice as fast as expected. It all happened, of course, while I was sleeping. Generally, that's a very normal occurrence, right, folks? How many times have you woken up to an upside down trade or trades that work out well? And again, we had an offset of XRP and Solana to offset those profits there. So it all works out in the end. All right, that's all I got here for the moment. Hope you learned something today. Please like the videos, folks. Comment below if you get a chance. Let me know what your position is on Solana, and we'll look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.